Hello my friends, Sifu Jay here for Artist of Truth. Such a wonderful day. It's beautiful out here. Got the grass growing a little bit too high out here in the field. Just walking around, checking out the scenery on this beautiful path out here in the woods on the family land, the farm. I've been relatively absent from public life, social media, all of those things. Someone very close to me is having a struggle with health and all of that, and it's important for me to be there. So I basically just dropped out of the public life and the public eye. Hope you can see me and hear me with all this walking. Got a lot of things coming up, some things relative to another channel. Got a podcast happening. The first episode of that will be coming up very soon. We're really just trying to get all my content together, figure out how to do this thing. I've been doing all of this for a while now. And let me get, there we go. And I'm not sure what to do. In the sense that I have so many things in my mind, so many aspirations. There's been lots of difficulties, lots and lots of difficulties. But that is the nature of being alive. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's not. What matters is how you respond and what you do with what you have. So I'm trying to do the best with what I have. Simple post on Facebook yesterday, I believe it was. And suddenly my email and my inbox on Facebook and all the other devices of self-connection to the world exploded. And so people were like, wow, you know, it's inspirational. I think I could have posted 2 words and it would have been just a response. But I was surprised to see that so many people are actually paying attention. It doesn't seem to be that way when it matters, or when it feels like it matters to me. But I'm glad to know at least people are paying attention, and that a line of something that I felt and just wrote made an impact. That's what this whole thing is supposed to be, right? The internet, social media, instead of being this mountain of just trolling garbage, where we just troll each other online and say all these negative things and how terrible life is, and we just constantly posting about the president or babies dying and all the other things. It's not that we should ignore the fact that some of these things are happening, but it seems to be the only thing that anyone can talk about, all the negative things. And I try to at least acknowledge some negative thing that happens, because I need to acknowledge it in order to know that it's there, in order to try to get past it. But beyond that, I try not to drown in it. So, with all of this content, with all of this technology, all of these things, we should be able to help each other. We should be able to be connected just like that. To say, hey, down the road, this just happened, if we're close to each other. Or this is going on, and everyone knows right away without someone being able to hinder it, like regular news, or if you had to get it from some type of programming controlled by giant networks and conglomerates and so forth. So now, got that out of the way. Oh, look at there. Little path there behind me. I prefer to be out here. For so many years I've spent on the road and in public life, teaching and speaking and traveling and writing and all of this. And when you're performing and you're on stage and there's always tons of people around, being out here like this for me, it feels like it keeps balance. So that's why I'm out here. That, along with the fact that I needed to be close to a family member. So I'm back in action. I'm still teaching, still training, and I always joke and say this. You know, I think occasionally people get caught up, especially if you're a martial artist, in whatever the new fad is. And if whatever the new fad is happens to catch off guard a lot of other martial artists who just aren't familiar with it, then everyone's jumping into just doing that. It's the greatest thing in the world. And once the surprise wears off, and then it's no longer that effective, then you get the things that I thought died out, like my style, my system, my way is better than yours. And so sometimes when I'm talking about training or things like that, I tend to get trolled online by people. I usually just ignore it. So I was joking earlier today about how I needed some students, and I mean, I have students, but I need students closer to me. When everything was really up, I didn't care so much about having a public school, because it changes the way that you train, and you attract a different type of student, and people tend to jump out for that very reason, than whatever's popular at the moment. I've trained every single martial art that I've ever been interested in that was close enough or visible for me to be able to study. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Chinese Kung Fu, boxing, whatever, wrestling, Muay Thai, Jeet Kune Do, or Jun Fan Kung Fu, whatever you like. But it wouldn't matter to me if it was the simplest form, in the most basic, what could be considered the ghettoist version of in a watered-down karate system. If a person lived close enough to me and they were doing it and it was fun, I would be at their house. Hey, let's do this. It doesn't matter. You should just train. You should do the things you're interested in. People get caught up in, I'm only going to do what I do because what I do is better than what you do. But I just like so much stuff. I'm just interested in so many things. It's why I started some of these channels. This one being Artist of Truth, dedicated mostly to philosophy of the mind and improving your life. And sometimes the martial art just kind of flows into that, as well as diet and nutrition, because diet and nutrition lots of times gets left out, and exercise and everything. Because in today's era, with the internet and all of this technology, we want things really quickly, just like I do. Lots of times. We have to have a little bit of a balancing act in order to achieve that. So all of these channels are set up for that. Most of the martial art content is on my channel, which bears the name of Wing Chun. And then the music stuff is usually going on to the Shay Wise channel, but I'm going to filter all of that into one thing. I'm trying to. But sometimes people just want to be able to go, I want to go straight to the Kung Fu, to the martial art. If I say Kung Fu, I mean all martial art. And sometimes people go, I want to hear a song. They're not going to a martial art channel. And for this, most of my followers are vegetarian or vegan, or they're into plant-based things, and maybe not all of them. And so I kind of gravitate towards that being a particular aspect of my life. And so no real context, it seems like, to what I'm saying. I guess that maybe I'm scattered. I have a lot of ideas happening, just firing off in the old synapses. But I would like to, I'm starting a podcast, so there's the dilemma. You don't want to get caught up so much in a name. Sifu, so you're like the Sifu, you're like the people that have PhDs calling themselves doctors everywhere they go instead of just being who they are. Don't want to be like that. And Artist of Truth being the channel originally seeking the truth in philosophy or in the nature of reality, and what is the best diet, what is the best way to exercise, and how can we all do this thing called living a life together, and making each other happy, and being able to, when we stumble over each other, being able to help each other up. So, Artist of Truth being the podcast, who knows? So, if you got any ideas, just fire it off to me. I'm sure I'll be trolled one way or another. Without it, it wouldn't be as fun. It doesn't, just for all of you trolls, it doesn't really matter much to me, though, so getting those finger blisters for no reason. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Sometimes you give me really good ideas, so troll away. So, man, it's so nice out here. I'm enjoying the fact that the weather is getting a lot cooler. If you could really see some of the things around me. There's these giant spiders in the tree up here behind me. I don't know if you can get it. No, too much sunlight. As if that's a thing. But I was bit recently, within a month or two, by a spider. Which gave me this horrendous infection. sharing that information with you. Of course, the quick fix always for something like that is just hammering yourself with these antibiotics for a long period of time until I dropped a little weight because I couldn't hold down any food. And it was mostly because of the antibiotics and not because of the spider bite. And, the old idea was take this antibiotic until you have taken all of them. And I just recently read a study that says that those people who have been not doing that, who once they feel better, they stop taking it, that is probably the correct thing to do. So who knows? Who knows? But what I'm getting at is that I stopped. I lost a lot of weight I could have needed, and if I choose to fast and to cleanse myself, that's one thing. But to be infected by the doctors is another thing. But I'm sure those antibiotics helped a lot in the beginning. If anything, they helped to clean me out. So went through that for a little while. So when there's a spider hanging around, then for me it's like being in one of those old 1980s ninja movies where I'm just waiting on one to drop from the ceiling so I can run off. Well, I don't think I'll keep you too much longer. I have to do my introduction to my new instructor series for Chinese Kung Fu, for Wing Chun. Those of you interested in Wing Chun, send me a message either on here or find the Kennedy Wing Chun YouTube channel, or you can find me anywhere. Just Google Sifu Jay Kennedy, S-I-F-U J Kennedy. Pop it right up. All of that stuff, and even you trolls, hit me with the Wing Chun is. I'm always hesitant to use certain language, even though it's funny. But I get this whole Wing Chun is gay comment a lot. Wing Chun sucks and all of that stuff. But I've cross-trained in a bunch of martial arts. I happen to be, I started training in the early 90s with the gentleman who basically brought Muay Thai to America and pioneered it. And I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before it was popular and most people knew what the UFC or any of that stuff was. It was because of training with guys that were doing Jeet Kune Do. So I do a lot of stuff. I just happen to like Wing Chun. I think it's really good. If you're talking about combat and you're doing this stuff for combat, then whatever you're doing is going to work. If you're training it, cross-training, so you cross-train in something, you get those attributes, you come back to what you do. What is your specialty with new eyes, and you can see how it applies. So, I know I trailed off there for a second, but I just thought it was relevant to say that it's humorous to me as someone who's slightly a comedian and has the stage vibe. I tend to say what I think lots of times. So if you want to train and do all of that, I got the instructor series coming out. I have all these students to say they want to train, and whether it was some kind of space martial art or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or anything, you always have that type of... I get those responses from students who claim to be wannabe students who are like, "Oh man, I know you're busy and you got all this stuff going on. I'd love to train, man. I watched all your stuff. I even watched your vegan, your vegan videos and all of that, and just follow everything you do. What would it cost to train?" And we say it costs some money, and then they go, "Oh man, okay, all right," and you never hear from them again. It's like you spend all of this time gathering this knowledge, getting strangled, getting kicked in the teeth, learning all the philosophy, going through everything that you go through, and these people would, and I don't want to say anything negative about anyone, but if you're the person that goes out and drinks and spends $500 on a weekend, or if you're snacking every time you stop at a gas station and all that money's flowing out, and you want to attain a skill like playing guitar, archery, doing a martial art, painting, anything worthwhile, anything at all that you think is worthwhile that you're going to pursue, it takes time. You're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it with your time, with your effort, and with your wallet, right? If whatever job you do, you get paid to do it. So I have a friend who's been teaching for a long time that struggles with that, And I did for a while. I think about, as a martial artist, as a philosopher, as someone who's doing these things, how do we charge people and justify it? Well, a dentist and a doctor, they get paid, and they get paid very well to do what they do. So be kind. Pay your teachers. Think about the fact that, as you attain this skill, and this other person, the skill itself is separate from the business, but as the business is there, You have to pay for that knowledge. You're not paying really for the skill. You can't just pay and have a skill. And you can send some money to someone online who says, you make that payment, we'll fly you out for a weekend and we'll certify you as some type of associate instructor. You can spend that 10 grand and do that, but you're just going to have a piece of paper that means nothing. You're still going to pay with your time. You're paying for the time that you spend and the effort. So maybe I'm all over the place, but I just want to throw that out there. If you send me an email and you say, like, you're ready to lay on the steps of the Shaolin Temple for a few weeks, and you're that dedicated of a guy, and then a person says, okay, well, it's X amount of dollars, and you're gone, question yourself. Nothing can be done in the society. We have to support each other. You pick it up. You come, you put in the time. I just share my knowledge. You go through all the hard work. You do the things for yourself, whether it's this or anything, right? I've done juicing clinics and all these things on how to juice, and I run into the same thing. But a lot of people would pay a lot of money if I would lie and say, if you just pay this money, now I'll print out this little certificate with your name on it, and suddenly you're a master of whatever, whether it's some philosophy or the martial arts. So, as I said a little while ago before I got going too much, I guess I'll turn you loose now. Check me out everywhere. Artist of Truth right here. Subscribe to my channel. If there's some content that you want to see, or if you think that the title Artist of Truth should be the title of the podcast, or just whatever, shoot me some ideas. Subscribe to my Kennedy Wing Chun channel. I'm going to change that name for sure. I feel like it's laying too much on me that it's like my Wing Chun. When it's like if I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even if I'm being creative, it's just the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then the techniques come out and they flow as you go, as you train. So, Shay Wise Music, check it out. If you want to see me do some comedy, at this point in my life, really consider doing the sets. Years ago when I jumped out and was doing a little acting and a little comedy, I really wanted to pursue it. Other things took off, but now I'm at a point in my life where I can go to it and maybe dedicate some time. So let's see what happens. Take some time, subscribe, say hello, yell at me, whatever you like. As always, love everyone. Talk with you soon.